You want a simple but elegant dinner dress, or you want to go for a romantic date? This simple and quick cowl neck slip dress is just right for that occasion. And surprisingly, it takes about an hour or slightly more to make it. You can actually make several of them in one day with different fabrics in different colors. So are you guys ready to make yours? Now join me, let me show you exactly how to. Hey guys, nice to have you in my class today. If this is your first time here, please hit the subscribe button now and be a part of our amazing sewing community. And for you who have been visiting my channel, why haven't you subscribed yet? Please hit the subscribe button already. Let's learn and grow together. Now remember to also leave me a comment below if you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you. So I would always start creating patterns using my bodice block. This is the foundation for creating patterns for different styles of garments. If you don't already have this bodice block, you can learn how to make yours by watching my tutorial here on how to draft basic bodice block. Alright, so you're going to trace out your block. This is my front block. Then you're going to trace out your block, put all your details, and then we're going to start manipulating this and working on this to create our cowl neck slip dress. Now you're going to lengthen it. So just lengthen it according to how long you want it to be, how long you want your dress to be. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide if you want to leave it fitted or you want to make it kind of A-line. For me, I don't want to leave mine like fitted on the bottom. I want to make it A-line. So I'm going to add a little bit to the hemline. So on my side seam here, this is my side seam, and on the hemline I'm going to add, let's say, about 10 cm just to create the A-line effect. And I'm going to connect it here, connect it nicely like that all the way down. Okay, so I want my hemline to balance and match well. I'm just going to measure this is 48 cm. I'm just going to measure this line as well. This is 48 cm. So I'm just trying to make my hemline, my side seam hemline and my center front to be equal. So that's just what I'm doing. So you place it like this. Okay, so we don't need this part anymore. So this is going to be the full length of my dress. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to measure about 10 cm. So on your shoulder tip here, you're just going to measure it down. You're just going to measure it down about, say, about 10 cm. You place a mark on it like that, and then from this your mark, you take it in about 3 cm. So from here to here, let's say about 3 cm, just like that. And then you use your French curve to connect it nicely to your original armhole. Okay, so we don't need this part anymore. Okay, so once you've done that, now you're going to draw a straight line from here all the way down to your center front. So once you've done this, you're going to chop off this part. We don't need this part anymore, the upper part. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to close this dart. We don't need this dart here. And to close this, we're just going to slash open our bust line. So actually I'm transferring this to this part, more like that manipulation. So I'm taking this dart off and moving it to my bust line. Okay, so you're going to have something like this, and then you're going to slash one leg of your dart and overlap it. Okay, so this is what we have now. And you're going to place a paper underneath so that you can spread this out. So you're going to determine how wide you want to spread it out. Now, the wider you spread it out, the more drape you have on your neckline and the deeper your neckline will be. So for me, I don't want it to be too deep, so I'm going to just spread it out about 10 cm. So from here to here will be 10 cm. Okay, so I'm going to use my sticky tape to hold it in place. Okay, so once you've done this, the next thing you're going to do is on this your center front line here, you are just going to extend the line upwards in a straight line. And then you are going to correct this your wonky dart that you just drew. So just draw a straight line from here to correct it. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so once you have this, now you're going to fold on this your straight line to create the facing, the front facing. And then you are going to measure on your from your underarm here, you are just going to measure, say, about 7 cm. That's going to be the length of your facing. So it's going to, your facing is going to stop somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. Yes. Okay, so now you are going to trim off. You're going to trim off this excess like this. So now you're going to open it up nicely. And then you're going to have something like this. So I just want to be sure of where my facing is. It's about 7 cm from here. Let me double check. Yeah, okay, so this is where my facing actually is. Okay, good. So now you're going to draw a straight line from your facing. This is my facing. I'm just going to draw a straight line. Just like this. So once you've done that, you're going to trim off these excess. We don't need it anymore. So I'm going to trim it off all the way down to the hemline. Okay, so now I'm also going to trim off this side seam. But before I trim off this side seam, for this dress, we don't need a dart here. We don't need this waist dart. So we are going to take off this waist dart, and to take it off is pretty easy. We're going to take it off from the side seam here. So the value of your dart, you measure the value of your dart. The value of my dart is 3 cm. So I'm going to measure from here inwards 3 cm. From here to here 3 cm, and that's the value of my dart. And then I'm just going to connect it nicely to my bust line, just like this, and then I'm going to connect it all the way down to my hip line, just like this. And because we don't want any pointy edges, you just use your French curve to smoothen it out. You do exactly the same thing for this side as well. So now we don't need this part anymore, so I'm going to trim it off, and we have actually eliminated our dart. So let me trim it off so that you can see the full pattern piece. Okay, so this is how our front pattern piece is going to look like, and this is our facing, staying very nicely. Oh, okay, this is my facing line. Now let me redraw it so that you can see it well. Not here, sorry, I made a mistake. It's actually this mark here. This is my facing line. So let me redraw it nicely. Okay, so I'm going to trim off this other part. Okay, yes. So this is how our pattern will look like, just like this. So when you fold this one in like this, you see it matches very well with the side seam. So that's how it's going to look. Now the only thing you need to do would be to put your grain line, and this grain line, this pattern is going to be cut on the bias. It's always best to cut this on the bias. It makes it looks nicer anyways. So on the bias is, this is my bias grain. It's not really a grain line anyway, this is bias, so it's going to be placed on the bias just like this. Okay, so now we are ready to work on the back pattern. Now the only thing you need to do for this pattern again is for you to just put your seam allowance, maybe 1.5 cm seam allowance all around. So for the back pattern, you're also going to trace out your bodice block, and then you're going to lengthen it to your desired length. It has to be same length as your front pattern piece. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to take your front pattern piece, place it on it so that you can draw this your A-line shape. All right, so again we are going to remove this dart. We don't need the dart at the back as well, and the value of this dart is 3 cm. So just like we did in the front, I'm going to measure 3 cm from the side seam, mark it, connect it nicely to my hip line, just like this. And then before I connect this here, I want to first of all take off a little bit from my back so that I'll prevent it from gaping at the back. So from my underarm here, I'm going to take in about 1.5 cm. So from here now, I'm going to just mark 1.5 cm. So I'm taking off this value to prevent it from gaping at the back. And then now I'm going to just connect it nicely to this part, to my waistline, and then I'm using my French curve to smoothen it out nicely here. Okay, so once you've done that, the next thing is, so you can already strike this out because there's no dart anymore. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to determine how low you want your back neckline to be. Like, you can make it as low as you want. It really depends on you. So for me, this is where I want my back neckline to start from. I don't want it to be too low, so this is just okay for me. So you can, this is like this is about 3 cm from my bust line. From here to here is 3 cm for my bust line. So you're going to connect this part all the way down to this part in a slight curve. Okay, so I really this is all for the back pattern piece. You see, I told you it was really very easy. Now you're just going to trim it off, and then or put your seam allowance. Now let me trim off this pattern piece so you can also see how the back looks like. Okay, so this is how your back pattern is going to look like. Now you're also going to put your grain line. It's going to be cut on the bias as well. So now the only thing we need to do is for us to create the facing for this back piece. Now creating facing for this is quite easy. You can make your facing maybe about 7 cm like the front pattern, and just mark. So I'm creating the facing pattern on top just like this. I hope you understand it. So my facing is actually 7 cm wide because I just want it to match very nicely with the front pattern, with the front facing. Yeah. So you're going to place your tracing paper on this and then trace this part out. And this pattern piece is also going to be cut on the bias. So we actually have 2 pattern pieces here. This one, the back pattern piece, and this one here that you place your tracing paper over and trace it out for your facing. Okay? And then we have this pattern, the front pattern piece as well. So these are the pattern pieces we need for this dress. The other thing is the strap. We don't need to create patterns for that. We're just going to cut that directly on our fabric. So now we're going to set these pattern pieces aside, and in our next class I'll be showing you how to place these patterns on your fabric, in fact how to fold your fabric and how to place the patterns on them, cut them out, and how to sew this beautiful dress. And that will be next week Saturday. So I hope you do enjoy this class. Please, if you do, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And if you have not already subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Thank you very much for all your support. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again in my next class. Until then, do have a beautiful week ahead. Bye bye.